Excuse me. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well, staying warm. We got more snow here, which is good. Now the sun is out, so it's a lot of glare, but it's good. Back in the studio, about to go back to painting. I've got a still life that I just set up and I started a painting of. Looking forward to that. But I wanted to continue with my Wild Mind, Wild Earth from last week. I sip my 2-day-old coffee, or maybe 1 day old. Okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to go back to the last paragraph that I read on page 5. What a deep and unrecognized wound must lay open in us. Our Paleolithic kinship with the web of life torn so completely asunder, mind no longer wild and integral to wild earth. That kinship is still there for children today. They instinctively feel it and they hear it in the stories we tell them, stories full of endearing animal characters. But unlike Paleolithic cultures, our culture strips children of that kinship, leaving us in adulthood bereft of primordial togetherness. It must be an elemental sorrow to be separated from the wondrous expanse of planetary life, its origins, and the forces that drive it. Paleolithic stories tell of the planetary togetherness, speak of creatures like orcas as sisters and brothers, as ancestors. But the foundational stories of our Greek Christian West describe a self-enclosed human realm separate from everything else. It's a wound so complete we can't see it anymore, for it defines the very nature of what we assume ourselves to be, centers of spirit identity, fundamentally separate from the world around us. There is an ethics in that wound, for it establishes our human project as the sole center of value. That means nature is simply there for us, a resource base for us to exploit however we wish, because it is not human, no reason or soul or language, and therefore has little intrinsic value. And so the wound is not only decimating us psychically, however little we are aware of it, it is also decimating Earth's ecosystem, ravaging its inhabitants in unimaginable numbers, individual by individual by individual. But if those assumptions were true about us, how could we love this world? How could we feel so kindred, so emotionally entangled through and through, feeling the grandeur of mountain peaks towering over deserts, or the elegant beauty of a Siberian iris blooming in the garden, savoring chocolate and clementine and espresso, relishing the sun's warmth on our faces, chill clarity of the moon in our eyes. We must be so much more than we think we are. However deeply we have forgotten it, we must still be wild in our original Paleolithic nature, wild and kindred to wild earth. That kinship is itself a truly primordial ethics, an ethics before question and argument. For if the 10,000 things of this earth are kindred, their self-realization must have no less value than our own. And harming them must be no less problematic than harming our fellow humans. At bottom, rescuing this planet from its sixth great mass extinction event. At bottom, rescuing this planet from its sixth great mass extinction event is a spiritual, philosophical problem. For it is the unthought assumptions defining us and our relations to the earth that are driving the destruction. The wound that insists we are radically different and qualitatively more valuable than the rest of existence. It's complicated, and we'll get to that. But it's very possible that recognizing and embracing and cultivating our kinship with wild earth is the only thing that might save this planet from its sixth extinction, the great vanishing, now seething through its oceans and continents. We love this world. And there is an unnoticed philosophical revolution inherent in that love. As we will see, that revolution has been slowly unfolding over the last few centuries in the West, making possible our kindred love for wild earth's 10,000 things. It is a return to Paleolithic understanding. Indeed, as we will see, the model of primal cultures helped drive this revolution from its beginning. And that return has a precedent in early China. There, nearly 4,000 years ago, a wound very similar to our own defined human consciousness for millennia. But in a vast cultural transformation, it was replaced by the Paleolithic paradigm that had survived beneath the surface of our political power structures. A paradigm that revealed our entanglement with existence to be everywhere, all through everything we are. In this alternative paradigm, wild mind, kindred to wild earth, became the unthought assumption shaping experience and ethics too. Perhaps it's too late. Perhaps it's true. Nothing can save the planet at this point. Perhaps the great vanishing is already too far along. But this precedent of fundamental cultural transformation in early China makes a similar transformation seem possible here. As our love for this world reveals, this transformation is already quite advanced. Ancient Chinese society was so like ours in its fundamental structures, highly educated and intensely textual, with bureaucratic offices and centralized government, cities, diversified market economy, sophisticated artistic and intellectual culture, and more. So ancient China's version of the Paleolithic paradigm could lead the way forward. Sartre said, existence precedes essence. And he was right. There is no human essence that determines how we can act. Instead, we define that essence always anew in the free choices we make in our day-to-day existence. We love this world, this living planet, and we also love the stars and galaxies. It's exhilarating to see telescopic images of stars scattered, sparkling through space or clustered into swirling galaxies, to learn of their mind-bending lives, the way gravity condenses cosmic dust into stars and ignites them, then finally crushes them into themselves so violently that they explode and seed space with the rich dust that will become a new generation of stars and planets like ours. Our kinship seems to know no bounds. And in rediscovering that kinship, how can we help but discover vast and beautiful dimensions of ourselves that had been lost. Human consciousness, woven profoundly through the planetary ecosystem, woven indeed through the entire cosmos. Yes, we are much more than we think we are. And that is liberating of astounding, that is liberation of astounding proportions. Yes, we are much more than we think we are. And that is liberation of astounding proportions. Even simple perception, a gaze into star-strewn night skies, for instance, or stream water braiding liquid light between stones. In sight, we find that utter belonging quite literally and scientifically true. The cosmos evolved countless suns and planets, and here on our planet Earth, it evolved life forms with image-forming eyes like ours. So what else is that gaze but the very cosmos looking out at itself? What is thinking but the cosmos contemplating itself? And our inexplicable love for this world, our delight and grief. What is that but the cosmos loving itself, delighting in itself, grieving for itself? We are wild through and through. Wild mind, wild earth, wild cosmos. This is how Paleolithic and ancient Chinese people understood it. And it seems clear enough, even self-evident, once we step outside the cultural assumptions we have inherited. This is our most magisterial identity, an identity that encompasses all of existence. The 10,000 things of earth and cosmos looking out through our eyes. In their expansive and ravishing dimensions, we find our kinship with those things, our love and emotional entanglement. And we also find an ethics. For what happens to Earth quite literally happens to us. Who knew ethics could be so beautiful? This valuing of the 10,000 things, each in its own exquisite and individual clarity. Here it is. That ethics distilled into a simple seeming little poem of crystalline seeing that was written by Tu Mu in 9th century China. Egrets. That's the name of the poem. Egrets. Robes of snow, crests of snow, and beaks of azure jade. They fish in shadowy streams. Then, startling away into flight, they leave emerald mountains for lit distances. Pear blossoms, a treeful, tumble in the evening wind. So we paint. What does that mean? We take colored mud, make images with it on a surface outside of us, inside, from inside, outside. We look at it with our eyes, we make it with our hands, stuff. All right. I'll leave it there. Hope you're making stuff, painting, drawing. It's really important these days to make stuff. And when you make stuff, we do our best to show up, be here. What a time. What a time. All right. I'll send this out to you. Take care. Be well.